It's none of my business what other people think about me. I feel like it does go hand in hand with like what you put in your body, and like, because it's like you feel good physically, you're gonna feel good mentally. I mean, I feel like for me, they didn't really have to ask me to do anything because I was just a hot mess. They were just like, give this girl some alcohol and let her just do her thing.
Hi, welcome to Beauty in the Brain, where we talk about all things aesthetic. So I'm here today with Jerry and our special guest, Kortni Gilson, and we're super excited to have her with us today and to talk about some exciting topics in the field of aesthetics, not just how we look externally, but also how we feel on the inside.
Like you said, we're thrilled to have Kortni here with us. She's been a friend of ours, started out as a patient of ours and has ended up being a really good friend of ours over the past few years. And we've kind of seen you on a journey from all across the board. So why don't you talk a little about yourself and just kind of how you got into reality TV? For those of you that don't know, Kortni was on an MTV show that aired Floribama Shore for 3 seasons. And so that's kind of how we got to know her, was wanting an influencer, and then by luck ended up with a really good friend out of it. So just tell us a little how you got started into the reality TV.
So I was 21 and I worked at Coyote Ugly in Panama City Beach. And I guess they were scouting the area for a local that they wanted to be on a TV show. And at the time, the TV show was supposed to be called like American Party. They didn't give us the name of like what it was really going to be. And so one of the bartenders gave them my number because I wasn't working that night. And they called me and they were like, hey, like we're scouting for this TV show. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah. And I did like a Skype call with them. And then like the next day they flew me out to California. My mom was like terrified. And so, yeah, that was just kind of like the start of it. I was a baby.
That's exciting, right? Anybody wants to be on the TV show. You get all the hype around that. Somebody asked you, of course, a trip to California. Yeah. So was it what you expected from that initial call?
Yes and no. I feel like when I started the show, that was like my prime time of like me drinking and like being 21, like always partying. And so like, I think it was different for me because I'm from Panama City. So it's like I wasn't taken out of my environment and put in another state around like people that I didn't know. Like I didn't know like the cast or like production, but I knew all my friends. Whenever we would go out to the bar, I would like hang out with them. And like my mom was still in town and like I would call her if I needed something. So I think it was a lot easier for me to settle in versus other cast members. I could see how that could be hard, but everyone wants to be on a TV show. It's just like, that's all of your worst moments that are out there forever.
Now, was there a lot of pressure to be, kind of extreme or kind of wild, or did they just let you kind of live your life?
I mean, I feel like for me, they didn't really have to ask me to do anything because I was just a hot mess. They were just like, give this girl some alcohol and let her just do her thing, because I was a hot mess and I was just like doing what I did every single day. It was just happened to be in front of cameras at that point.
So what was the delay in the time that you filmed until the episodes actually were released? And
Season 1, we filmed 2017, I want to say in like March or April. And then I think it aired in November. Yeah, because it was my dad's birthday that it aired. We had this like big like viewing party, and it was like mortifying because it was like all of my friends and family, like even people that I wasn't even that great of friends with. I was just like, everybody come. And it was my dad's birthday, and it was the episode, like the very first episode is me pissing the bed. And like... And like it's on this big screen in front of all these people, and I'm like, oh my God, because I had no idea that even happened.
That was my next question was, were you aware of what was going to be?
No. And so like when you film the show, only 10% of like what really happens is on TV. And so they like pick through all of everything, and yeah, that just happened to make the cut.
I can see where it would. It would kind of gets people on the Kortni train or either off of the Kortni train. So we saw you go from all sorts of extremes. You were the wild party girl, the fun one that was out and wild, and then we saw you kind of disappear during some of the seasons. And so, do you feel that part of that was due to the pressure that was put on you by the show?
I think it had to do more with like my inner demons. I was on a lot of like prescription drugs and that I was abusing just to like cover up some of the things that happened to me whenever I was younger that I didn't want to deal with at that moment. So I was using substances to numb everything. And so I think like my own issues kind of like surfaced being in that situation because there is like pressure to like have your screen time, because if you don't, like, you get paid by the episode. So it's like if you're not, and you sign on for, let's say, 12 episodes, if you're not in those 12 episodes, you don't get paid for those 12 episodes. So it's like you have to make sure that you're getting enough screen time, and then there's just so much going on, you know, like you don't have any sense of normalcy. And it kind of can make you feel crazy. So it's like you don't have like the freedom to use a cell phone or like a phone in general. Like the lines are either on or off. So like sometimes throughout the day we wouldn't be able to pick up the Gator phone and like make a call. It's like all planned. And then it's like if I wanted to read a book, I couldn't read a book because of like copyright. And then you have all these lights and it's just like you are like on camera 24/7. So it's like just this like really weird, like, I don't know. So it's just, I feel like because I was drunk and on substances, I was like just able to like move my way through it. But I don't think being sober, I think I would be like weirded out by, you know, like being filmed all the time to where like I just like didn't care really.
So how long were these filming sessions? Like weeks, months?
Season 1, we filmed for 4 weeks. And then season 2, we filmed for 2 months. And then season 3, I was only there for a few episodes.
So were you prepared for the, you know, kind of sudden celebrity when the show took off? And
like thinking back on it, I feel like we all thought it was gonna blow up more than it did. Like I remember when it first started, I think Amy was like, "Are we gonna need security? Are the paparazzis gonna follow us around?" And you know, you think like, "Oh my God, like what is it going to be like?" But no, I think like the most that happens is people come up to you and ask you to like take pictures and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know. You don't really know what to expect.
How do you feel that being on the show, like I said, we've kind of seen you go from first episode to Wild Party Girl to third episode, like where you were obviously having some struggles, to now. And so like I view you now as one of the healthiest people. If anyone that follows Kortni on her social media knows she's constantly in the gym, like you're physically fit, you eat good, you seem to really be in a good mental space.
Yeah.
And that's a huge journey from, I hate to say season 1 or season 3 to what you are now. It almost seems like a different person to me. How do you feel personally?
I think I feel like a completely different person. Just like physically, because I was so sick. I had all these stomach issues. Like I had like IBS. I had like severe acid reflux. I was always sick, and it was like due to what I was eating. And then like I feel like if you're eating like shit, you feel like shit, and then you're like mentally feeling like shit. It's about like what you put in your body and like the things that you're reading or watching. So like social media. It's like if you're constantly around people too that are just like talking bad about themselves, like, "Oh, I'm so fat," or "Oh, I'm so ugly," you become those thoughts because that's all you're thinking about, you know? So I think when season 3, I hit rock bottom, I think it like woke me up because I was like, I can't be doing this. And I think it was like time because it was, I don't know if like had it not been for Floribama, I don't think that I would have gotten the help that I needed because it wouldn't have put me in that situation to be like in front of all these people. And then it kind of like hit me that if I can like do this in front of all these people, how many people that it could help. And so like that, me helping other people helped me help myself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things when we talked about having you on. Clearly, the show kind of changed your life, and that's one of the ways that we got to know you.
Yeah.
And obviously thought about having an influence for the clinic. But as Jerry said in the intro, have kind of got to know you as a person over that time, Jerry, more than me, but really love what you've done with yourself and the role model that you are for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And so, what would you say to people who are out there in similar situations but may not be as public or have the resources that you had? Where do they start to look for help?
I think that the only limitations we have are the ones that we put on ourselves. So it's like if you tell yourself that you're stuck, that's like the mindset, you're going to be stuck, because no matter like if you're in if you have a shitty job, right? You can always quit. I've quit every job that I've ever had. And by quitting, I got another job where I was treated better and got paid more. You're only stuck in these situations because you have put yourself in that mental prison, because you are the creator of your reality and you can change your own life. So it's like taking the steps. I think like whenever the episode that like I lost my mind in the taxi, whenever I like sobered up, I was like, oh my God, like I can't do this anymore. Like I'm either going to be like this forever or I'm going to take the steps to change and do better. And you have to choose yourself. You can't do this for your mom or your kids, I see a lot of like younger moms that like have these kids and they're like breaking their back for their children. Like, yeah, you love your children, but you can't show up for your kids or show up for your family unless you show up for yourself and put yourself first, because then later down the road, they'll be able to thank you for that because you can show up for them in the way that they need and for yourself. So it's about choosing yourself. And like, regardless of how heavy I was or how like down I was, I still loved who I was as like a person to my core. I knew I was a good person. I might just like not have liked the way that I was looking at that point because I was like unhealthy. So it's just about, making better decisions and not doing it all at once either. It's like take that day by day and try to stay as present as you can.
One of the things that I do admire about you, and you're talking about your weight, is like your social media. And a while back, you were putting all these posts about like how perception is not necessarily reality. And you would put yourself out there where you did have like a little pot belly or your butt didn't look exactly like you wanted it to, but you could change the angle or use a filter and it looked just like the world wanted you to look.
Yeah.
And so like it was really impressive to me to watch you with that many people watching you. Because you could have absolutely avoided all of that and looked like perfection.
Yeah.
But you were the first person that I saw that pointed out like your faults, where even looking at your pictures where you felt like you weren't in shape or you didn't look your best, like the rest of us still saw like gorgeous Kortni.
Right.
So what do you see like when you're looking in the mirror now, or do you feel better?
Yeah. Like I'm constantly the observer of my own thoughts. So it's like, I'll always tell myself I'm beautiful, even if like I don't feel it, and I'm going to like trick my brain into believing that. So I always just like, even if I'm getting ready for the shower or if I'm in the bath, I just like take that moment to like really like thank my body for showing up for me every single day, because your body does so much for you. I'm like a really big believer in energy, and like the words that you say to yourself and speak into existence like really do come true. So even if you don't believe the things that you say, you should absolutely like talk better to yourself, because it does work. Like it really does.
I mean, I really love that concept. Is this something that you grew up with? Was this modeled by your family, or you learned
No.
this? Yeah.
So it's really interesting because it's like, I feel like my mom grew up in like the era of get slim fast, drink this diet plan. You know what I'm saying? And it's like for like the short term, it's not for like the long term. And like, and my mom put me in modeling when I was like 3 or 4. I did like Baby Gap and like Lens In and like all of that. And I think that's honestly what like started all of my like image issues, like self-image issues, because it's like when I was 16, these modeling agencies, like you go into this room with like a lot of other girls that look similar to you, because like whenever you cast, they're looking for like a specific type of person. And you're sitting there like comparing yourself to all these girls, like I'm not as skinny as her, or like I'm not as tall or like short as her. And it's just like you compare yourself, and then like these people are sitting there telling you to lose 20 pounds at 16 years old. And then like my mom, like God bless her, she didn't know any better, but you know, like she wants you to be like signed by Wilhelmina Models. And to do that, you have to lose that weight. And so it's like she wanted that so bad for me. I don't think she knew like the damage it was doing to me at the time. But she loves me so much, you know, like I'm her baby.
She is the biggest fan.
Yeah. It's like really interesting though. I feel like through like my journey of learning about mental health and like body positivity, I have been able to like show that to her. Like she's the one that's always stepping on the scale every other day. I'm like, stop stepping on the scale. Like I hate that, because it's like you're so much more than like your body weight, because it's like if you're working out, you're gaining muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat, you know. Like I'm like 162 right now. I think at like my skinniest I was like 148. Like on the first season of Floribama I was like 150. But it's like I feel like some people think like 162 is like heavy, but it's like muscle, and I am tall. But like at my heaviest, I was 200 pounds.
That leads to another question though. Have you got your mom, since she is your biggest fan, and I know you are very close, is she into this positive mindset now? Have you been able to convince her to?
Yeah, I told her, you know, I don't really have any friends. I hang out with my family. And I'm like, I need you guys to live the longest because you're all I have. So I'm like, Mom, I need you to stop drinking Dr. Peppers. So that she'll live longer. And so she's been on like this health kick journey, like with me. I've been like teaching her like how to eat better and like what's in like these foods and all of that. And I think just like me being more open about that, like even like my dad, I feel like growing up, he was like more dismissive of like emotions and like talking about things, just because like their generation was like you just sweep it under the rug and forget about it. And because I am so vocal about just like everything, they're more vocal, and I have a really good relationship with them just because we talk about everything. So it's definitely made them more open to talking about things.
It's interesting because I mean I'm a big believer in a positive mindset, and kind of, you know, I don't know if it's the traditional way of thinking about manifestations, but for sure, and what you speak and what you think about yourself and your inner thoughts will come to existence. And
Yeah.
so if you're constantly feeding your mind with all of these negative thoughts, then that's going to come into existence
Yeah.
as well. And so we've seen that, you know, in our own lives and our own business, and, you know, kind of from many years ago, yeah, I don't even know where I picked up on those things, but Jerry knows that I'm kind of in that same mindset, but I didn't grow up with that.
Yeah, no.
Either. Like it's a pattern that or something that I've had to learn
Yeah.
over time. On that topic, and I don't know, maybe these things kind of all intertwine, it's hard to separate, but do you notice that you feel better about yourself with a positive thought since you've tried to do that, or with the other lifestyle changes you've made, like better diet, working out, or can you separate those two?
I think that, so whenever I left season 3 of Floribama, I went out to California to like a mental health treatment place, and I stayed there for 28 days. And I learned just like a lot about like myself and my trauma and the things that you put in your body. Like we had chefs out there that, because a lot of people were like celiac and all of that. And so that's whenever I really started eating healthy, because I learned a lot about food out there. I've read a lot about like the gut being the second brain. And then I had all those health issues and I was just sick all the time. I feel like it does go hand in hand with like what you put in your body, and like, because it's like you feel good physically, you're going to feel good mentally.
So if somebody's looking for a quick fix, can they just exercise or eat better, or do they need, and I personally tend to agree with you. I think it goes hand in hand, and I think it's hard to separate that.
I think it's a long-term goal, and it's a lifestyle change. Like this whole like fast diet to like lose weight quickly in like a month, it's just not doable in a healthy way. So it's like if you make small changes in your day-to-day life, it's going to add up for longevity, and you're going to be able to attain that way easier than like trying to lose 20 pounds in a month.
Well, I think sustainability plays a big role in every part of our life, whether it's, you know, mental health, physical health, or beauty, because you're talking about like a quick fix on a 30-day diet, and it's kind of like trying to cover up something bad with one single dose of Botox. It doesn't work. And so, you know, sustainability and creating a lifestyle that works for you, and, you know, what's happening on the inside of your body, your gut, what's happening on the inside of your mind, you know, your psychic, your mental health, and that sort of thing also radiates as a type of beauty. And that is really difficult to see on social media, which plays a huge freaking role
Yeah.
in all of our lives right now. You know, even if we don't love social media, it's a big part. Whether like for ours, it's business and also for enjoyment, but primarily for business. And we see all of these images. How do you think that's impacting, you know, this young generation that's coming up?
I was thinking about that a few minutes ago, and I was going to touch on that. I think that it's like really sad, all these young women that are on social media where all these girls are like photoshopping their photos, and it's just like not realistic to look like that. And that's why I hate social media, because you sit there and you're looking at all these girls, comparing yourself to them, and even guys. I think it's like super toxic, and that's why I try to be as real and raw as possible on social media, because everything is not as it seems, and it's just a highlight reel. I think that what you look at on social media can really impact your mental health, and yeah, it's like hard to weed out what isn't real and what's not.
I think mental health and body image, you've kind of touched on them both at the same time and different things we've already talked about, but it's crazy how that can impact you and impact the people around you.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're in a place that's not necessarily a good place, you tend to attract people that are in that same. It's rare
Yeah.
that you're in a bad place and you attract really good people.
Yeah.
When you weren't as healthy as you are now, did you find that you tended to have people around you that were also in similar situations?
Yeah, because I think misery loves company.
You were also on the show. You're being paid to do some of this, but
I think when I first started sharing my journey, like around the time that I did the Dr. Drew interview, you start getting all these messages from all these people that are going through similar things. So it's like kind of this community. And I try to reply to as many people as I can. So like I know this one kid, which I had gotten a message from him during season 2 of Floribama. And he was like, I turned the TV on and you were the reason why I didn't kill myself. And he was actually the reason why I decided to do the Dr. Drew interview, to like share my story. And he actually messaged me again after that interview. And I was like, oh my God, like you were like one of the reasons why I wanted to share my story. So it's like you get that positive encouragement from those people. But at the same time, it's like all these people are asking you for help. And it's like, I can barely help myself at this point. But I still do get a lot of messages about like, how do you do that? And everybody's journey is going to be different. It's about like figuring out what works for you.
I want to venture some into your aesthetic journey and things that you've tried in the med spa and aesthetics and things that you love and hate. And let's just talk about that a little bit.
So I've gotten Botox. You guys are the first people to give me Botox. So I've gotten Botox. I've gotten a lip flip. I got those threads. I don't know the
PDO threads.
Yeah. Those, and then really I just do facials. So that's...
And a lot of people may not know this about you, but you're an esthetician as well. So tried that for a little while, but did you like it?
I thought I was really gonna like it, but I felt like a glorified face washer. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to like wash people's faces all day. I don't know. That might be, I don't know. But I liked more of the waxing part. And then I really just did it to learn about my own skin, because at the time that I started school, I was breaking out really bad. So I wanted to learn about like why I was breaking out, what I could do to help my skin, my mom's skin, my friend's skin. So that's kind of what led me down that journey.
Have you found any magic potion or routine for your skin? Or
Yeah, I actually use the La Roche-Posay Effaclear face wash, but I only wash my face at night, and I'll do like witch hazel in the morning, and then I'll do like a vitamin C, and I slug with vitamin E oil. But I've found that not drinking coffee on an empty stomach really helped my skin. Like I don't break out anymore now that I don't drink coffee on an empty stomach.
I think diet and things that we ingest are
Yeah.
a big part of a lot of our skin, and figuring out what works.
Yeah,
for
my
you
hormones are
individually.
changing. I'm like getting
you feed
older.
the skin,
Yeah.
just like you feed the gut. And so if you put bad things in, bad things are going to come
Yeah.
out. And so whether it's coming from your gut or bad things coming from your face, what you put in is what you get back from your body. Whether it's your mental health is impacted. I have personally have psoriatic arthritis, and anti-inflammatory diets even
Yeah.
really help with my symptoms associated with it. I think that it's a little underestimated about what goes in actually comes out.
Like whenever I eat dairy, I get a pimple like within the next 2 days. Like I went to Starbucks to get like a matcha latte and I forgot to tell them to put almond milk in it. And I was like, oh, like it'll be fine. No, like the next few days, my skin, I was paying for it. And so it really does make a difference.
So of all the treatments that you have had, what's your favorite?
Botox.
Botox, yeah.
We knew the answer to that.
I know the answer to that, but this is, something, do you know the difference in the types of neurotoxins?
No.
No, so right, we refer to Botox. Everybody talks about Botox. That's the original brand by Allergan, and I think it's something that we get asked about a lot from some of our clients and new providers. But actually, what you've received from us is Dysport.
Yeah.
And so it's like a lot of patients don't even realize that we have a lot of choices of neurotoxins.
Right.
We all just kind of call it Botox, almost like we call it tissue Kleenex. And so they don't even really, so I think that's interesting when they come in and they ask us, what do we put in our face and our family's face? And in our clinic, we use Dysport a lot, and we love that. But a lot of places, they still refer to it as Botox. But that is a all-time favorite of a lot of our patients. So I love it as well, and it's time for me to get my touch-up.
Same.
Always say it's the gateway drug because it's what leads us right down into this path that we are. Do you have anything that you plan to do that you haven't done yet?
I think just continuing down the road of preventative maintenance. So just keeping up with the Botox. I don't know if I'll ever do lip filler. It scares me. Just seeing.
What's scary about it?
Just like the pain level. And then I'm not subject to change. Change freaks me out. And so it's like, what if I hate it? And then I'm going to have to go through like the getting it dissolved, and then that's more pain. Like, I don't know. I feel like I can handle pain very well, but something about that, I'm just like,
I don't know that I believe that you're not good with change, because I've seen all the changes we already talked about, but I've also seen you through no nails, crazy nails,
to no lashes,
short nails, no lashes.
I hated it. I hated it. I was very upset about my nails. They're growing out though. I need to get them done. But
back, and I see you have a lot of lash on today.
Love it. It looks great. But
they do look great. But it's like, touching on that, I felt like my self-esteem went down so low when I took those lashes off. I was like, oh my God. Like, and now I'm just like feeling so great now that I have my lashes done.
But I think that's the thing, right? It's individual to all of us. And I think finding a really happy balance between what makes you feel good and confident about yourself, and not worrying about what other people think.
Right.
And that's a really hard place to be. So it's not, at this point, you're not letting other people really influence your decision. You're going for what makes you feel confident.
Right.
Well, and it shows how something as small as an eyelash can change the way you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it sounds crazy, but little things that make us feel better about ourselves, and we clearly radiate it to other people. I mean, you walk into a room and you demand attention when you come in. And I know this, you haven't always felt like that, but you know, when you walk in and you're pretty and you're tall and you're thin and your personality is big and bubbly, and usually Birdie, she's not here with us right now, but Birdie, Kortni's dog, is usually with her. How do you use that impact that you have on other people to benefit them?
I think just being nice to everyone. Like my mom was always like, no matter like in school. So my mom's a teacher, and it's like every clique in school, I was always nice to everyone. She was always like, you have to be nice to everyone. Like, regardless of like how they are, like always just like be kind. So I think that goes a long way, because somebody could be having an awful day and you just being nice to them could really like change their mood. And I guess that's just like shining a little bit of light in a very dark world. It's just always being nice to people.
Humility's pretty. I just said it in a recent interview that like I did for one of the magazines, and to me, one of the most gorgeous things about a person is being humble, regardless of who it is. It doesn't have to be someone that's wealthy to be humble, or somebody that's beautiful or famous or whatever to be humble. But you know, humility really speaks a lot for a person, and I think that whenever you can be humble, people can relate to you. And when you're in a position like you are to have, how many social media followers do you have now?
I have 380,000.
That's a lot of people that have access to a lot of your life. And if you come across as an ass, then, that's really, sorry, I didn't mean to say
fine.
ass in front of you, but, but if you come across like that, you're not near as approachable like the kid that you just talked about that reached out to you that was at a bad place. And so I admire the fact that you can still be humble and been through everything that you have.
I am the least judgmental person you will ever meet because hands down, I've probably done it times 10. So I'm in no place to cast judgment on somebody else because I have been in the trenches.
Now, how do you deal with that though? Because I'm sure with that many followers and your life being, that public, and with the show recently being released on Netflix, now it kind of gets a whole resurgence of people. So how do you tune out the negative energy and the negative comments that are coming your way?
It's none of my business what other people think about me. Because at the end of the day, it's their projection and their reality, and what they think of me is none of my business, because it only matters what I think about myself. So it's just I don't really care what other people think about me, because they're just...
How long did it take you to get there?
Until I was 26. Because I always had that I don't give a fuck attitude, because it's everything, what someone's judging in me is what they're judging in themselves. So it's really, I'm just their mirror, and it's pointing back to them. It's just whether or not that they can see that, and everything's a projection. So learning that really helped me a lot. And it's just the only thing that matters is what I think about myself.
Yeah, I think that's a hard place to get, because, we'll get a couple of negative comments here and there, and it'll bother me. And I'm why do I let that kind of stuff bother me to the extent that it does? And I can't imagine having that many followers.
I'll screen record things, which is probably not right of me to do, but I will screen record things and put it on my story just to blast someone, don't be an asshole. And then I think I'm that wasn't the nicest thing it could have done. I should have just blocked them and gone about it a more mature way. But sometimes it's funny, people will post someone posted something about my relationship with my mom and how I'm just so ungrateful. And I'm I've probably been ungrateful, yeah. But I've apologized for my action. My mom's my best friend. She knows me to my core. She knows that I have no ill intentions to her. But yeah, I'm sure on Floribama I came off as a little asshole that was ungrateful. But it's I don't know, leave me alone. I make mistakes too. So I had screenshotted that and put it on my story, and I'm sure everyone beat her up about that.
How does your mom handle? We love your mom, by the way.
I was going to say maybe we need to have her on here she can offer a whole different set of views on everything, because she's told me before that she was so afraid for you at one point. And that's when I said earlier she was your biggest fan. And Kortni's mom's also been to the clinic and been a patient, and during a treatment, we were just chatting it up like we do, and she told me that she was so afraid for you at one point.
I feel so bad for everything that I put my mom through. Oh my God. She was probably I'm the reason why she never slept. But, no matter what, anytime I called her, she was always there. If I needed her to pick me and my friends up because we were hammered at some bar at 4 a.m., she would, regardless if she had to be at work at 7 in the morning. But yeah, I definitely have a lot to repay her for.
How does she handle any negative reactions to the things that are posted about you?
I don't know if she knows a lot about them. I'm sure she would comment back and be that's my baby.
Yeah, that sounds like my mom, right? And so she wasn't on even Facebook for the longest time, and then she's on there, and if there's the least bit of something that's negative, it's why did you not say something? I'm and I just try to let it go.
Yeah, I don't think she understands the concept of social media, in the sense that if you put something out there, it's out there. Be careful what you say.
Yeah, we had this discussion. We've had it multiple times before, and we were talking, earlier about, with the social media, we clearly control the narrative. You control your narrative we put out there, and Jerry and I are very different in what we put on our social media, but we feel that we know that person from what they put out there, and very few people are as honest and out there as you are. I know I'm very controlled with what I put out there. Jerry's not so much. He puts whatever.
We have 3 degrees. We have Chris, me in the middle, and we have you.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Skin and Tonic and Chris, I would probably be Kortni.
Yeah, because I'm constantly trying to be like reeling back.
Yeah.
So, do you tell you our latest procedure that we're doing in the name of it? This may be cut from the podcast. I don't know. It's off topic, but
Vagicadabra.
Oh, it's cute.
And so
We love her.
we've got a new vaginal wand for female like rejuvenation, and so Jerry, he said it's like a magic wand because they have no pain and they have great results. So
hell yeah.
Vagicadabra. That's Jerry's, and I was like, that's about as far I was let him to push that. Some of his marketing ideas, I'm like, no, we're going to shut that down.
he squashed like a rabbit being pulled out and that sort of thing as a magic hat. So he said no to that. But anyway, well, we certainly appreciate you being here today.
Yeah.
And it's fun just to have you here and be able to
Any
sit
chance
and chat.
I get to see you guys.
So you said you're due for Botox, so just come and see us.
We want to thank you all for listening to another episode of Beauty in the Brain. Thank you again, Kortni, for being here with us today. I think you guys have heard a lot about our mental health, our physical health, and how that impacts our beauty and our aesthetics. So we all want you to know that there is help in your community and local areas. And we're going to provide some resources on our website and on our social media channels. So if you are dealing with any of these body image issues, we're going to give you some resources and ways that you can find help.
The only limitations you have are the ones you put on yourself. So
There you go.
get
Love
out of your
that.
head.
I love that.